Bedtime Radio Show. I'm Billy. This is my buddy Don.
What's up? How's it going?
And we are going to talk about cool stuff today. But before we get to that, I just want to tell everybody, if you want to get a hold of us, send us an email. Give us stories, feedback, cool stuff like that at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. We've been getting some good downloads, Dawn.
I heard.
We're almost up to 1,000 downloads.
What?
We're like at 830 the last time I looked.
Wow. Thanks, you guys, for listening. We really appreciate it. We just have fun doing it. So we want to.
It's fun and it's cool because
with the content.
We started this in December.
Yeah, no, I saw the date.
So
Megan was asking me when we started, and I was like, dude, it was December 21st.
And we are almost at 1,000 downloads already.
We're almost done with the second season, dude.
I know. That's awesome. This is episode 10 of season 2.
No, nice.
It's cray-cray.
Awesome. Time flies when you're having fun, man.
I'm loving it.
Loving it.
McDonald's stole that shit from me, by the way. I should sue.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba is Billy's, tune,
I do it all the time.
He does it all the time.
So today's episode is all about something that I used to love growing up reading, and that's the Brothers Grimm fairy tales.
Like the real
ones,
real
not
horror.
The ones that Disney whitewashed, even though I won't talk poorly of Disney with Dawn around me because she has sharp objects near her.
I like, chaw!
She might
Try to chop you.
She might just jug me.
I'll jug you with this.
Right in my jugular.
Jug you with this pin.
All right, so this is not your normal average fairy tale. Brothers Grimm was actually very disturbing tales, and that's what's so cool about them. So we found some cool websites, and we're going to talk about some of these awesome fairy tales. Some of these I didn't even know that Grimm did. I thought Disney did first. This is what amazes me. Me, Mr. fucking little factoid here and there, minutia of stupid little facts. I didn't know this one. It's kind of cool. So the Brothers Grimm, if nobody knows who they are, is they're a pair of German siblings who created some of the original tales in the 19th century. They didn't shy away from any gory details. In fact, not many of the original authors of our favorite fairy tales did. So we're going to jump right into it and talk about one of the very first ones, which is Cinderella.
Oh, Cinderella. That's one of my favorite Grimm's fairy tales. Now, I like the way Disney did it because it is kid-friendly.
Yeah.
And it is G-rated. But the original, is fucking brutal, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Walt Disney drew fame for his uncanny ability to create family-friendly animations that have been passed down throughout the decades. In his version of Cinderella, a poor girl worked to the bone by her evil stepsisters.
That was a Freudian slip.
That was a lesbian Freudian slip. Finds a fairy godmother who transforms her from sooty present just in time to attend a glamorous ball. Cinderella falls in love with the prince, but must leave at midnight. Amid all of her haste, Cindy leaves behind the glass slipper. The prince finds her. All is happy. Lots of music is played. The end. However.
And the mice help her make her dress, and she has a fairy godmother,
right.
and
the pumpkin turns into a carriage.
Carriage, it's beautiful.
Right. Now.
And a glass shoe.
In the Brothers Grimm version, it's a different and twisted tale altogether. Mm-hmm. Keen on injecting morality lessons into their stories, Cinderella still gets her happy ending in the original. Don't we all just want a happy ending?
We all do. I always say we're all...
That's why I go to massage parlors.
Oh, my God. Okay. We're all 16-year-old girls and boys inside. So when you have your little tiff or you get upset...
That's what I tell the Asian masseuse.
Oh, my God. You're extra today. Little goofy.
Punchy.
Speaking of Disney.
So anyway, she still gets her happy ending in the original, but it doesn't pan out so well for her wicked stepsisters. Mm-hmm. Clamoring at the opportunity to gain power and status, the scheming stepsisters cut off parts of their feet so that they might fit into the glass slipper.
Yeah.
Not only do they lose a lot of blood and a few body parts in the process, vigilant doves also peck out the stepsisters' eyes, leaving them to spend the rest of their lives as blind beggars. That is fucking crazy.
Okay, so the story is the same synopsis. She goes to the ball. You know, it's about strike midnight. She loses her slipper. they're going around trying the slipper on to every single person in the village. So Cinderella has small, tiny feet. Well, they don't allow her to come to the front to try on the shoe. So the stepmother actually chops off the oscalcus, which is the heel bone of one of the sisters. So her foot fits into the shoe, but then all the blood that's coming out of, the freaking artery that they just cut. So can you imagine trying on that shoe after the blood soaked?
That had to hurt like a son of a bitch. And why would anybody want to put that shoe on after that nasty
That's what I
bitch?
mean.
Just cut her fucking heel off.
So then the other sister, they chop off her great toe, her big toe. They chop off her big toe because her foot's wider to fit into this tiny shoe that's Cinderella's shoe.
Big ass toe.
That's what I mean. She had a massive toe.
She just had one big toe.
So this shoe is soaked in blood, and now they have to put it on the other sister.
All of this sounds like it should be in a metal song.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sing it.
I can't even think right now.
You lost your toe!
Cut your toe off. You'd have to sing it in Cookie Monster voice, though.
You cut your toe off. Now you put the shoe on.
I love it. But yeah, so they end up, it fits Cinderella, and she lives happily ever after because they. But okay, so
wash that fucking shoe.
How many other people have the same shoe size? So what if they found someone and it wasn't Cinderella?
So my question is, did they get their inspiration from like ancient Japan? Because you know how they used to bind women's
foot
feet.
binding. Yeah, the X-rays. Have you seen the X-rays?
Yeah, they look horrible. That must have been completely and utterly painful.
Yeah, you do not use your metatarsals. You're just using. You don't walk.
They're curling their feet up and binding them so that they get all deformed and they look like they've got club feet.
So that's how you knew they were rich, though.
Yeah.
Because if you had a foot that could fit into, like a 4-inch.
A thimble.
A 4-inch, yeah, basically. Because they couldn't stand. So that means they had to be taken care of. That means that was the signature of them being rich.
Let's just put our foot in a thimble.
Yeah.
Can you get it small enough to fit in this tiny...
Can you imagine the pain of the bones grinding on each other? Like the bones would overlap. They're not made to be bound.
It's just fucking horrid.
Yeah. So.
But I'm glad Cindy found her man.
Cindy did find her man, and then the I wonder how they got.
Do you know what would be a really cool TV show?
You know what? I bet the doves came because they smelled all the blood.
Do you know what would be a really cool TV show?
What?
Cinderella, Snow White, Rapunzel, and Sleeping Beauty on like 90 Day Fiancé.
Or like The Real World.
No, 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, to where you have to have...
Like, they're like, they marry, like that show you watch.
Do you secretly watch 90 Day Fiancé? You've said that 100 times.
I
watched Married at First Sight. I don't watch 90 Day Fiancé.
No, but I watch like industrial Investigation Discovery all the time, and they're always got that fucking commercial on. So it's like in my face all the time.
So you've had to watch it.
And there's like, no, I haven't watched it,
You're
but
a closet watcher.
I've watched like clips of the commercials, and there's like this one dude who's got like no fucking neck. He's just like a head on a big barreled body, and he's got this super hot, I guess she's Ukrainian.
Oh, no.
And you can tell already it's disaster.
Yeah,
because they show like one scene where he's trying to kiss her and she turns her head away.
No, you don't want... No. Why would you want to kiss a turd?
He's a big, hairy...
He looks like a turd.
He looks like Chet from fucking Weird Science.
No.
Remember when Chet got turned into that big pile of gooey shit?
That's
what he looks like.
Turd.
Yeah.
No, why would you want to kiss that?
You know what? I don't know. But that would be a great show.
I would watch it.
I would watch
it needs to be on MTV, though.
Right? No, MTV sucks.
No, MTV was the original, The Real World. They were the original ones to create. That's when MTV
started to suck.
There's a meme out there that says, horrible. Thank you for 40 years or whatever, where they're on 50 years. Thank you for 14 years of music, it says.
Yeah, 14 years.
Because there was only 14 years of music. I remember when
the 90s that all that shit started coming out.
When the music videos came out. Like, you wanted to be the first one to see it because they were awesome.
I actually lived here when MTV first came about.
Okay,
and
so
I was 11 years old. It was 19...
So that was 100 years ago.
82, I think? Yeah. I think it was 82. I want to say it was 82. Could have been 80. But that was the first time we had, like, cable TV.
Cool.
And my brother and I loved watching MTV.
I love MTV.
But then it just, like, went to shit when they started doing Real World and all that other dumb shit. Jersey Shore was on there. Just stupid fucking
I don't
shows.
remember Jersey. I watched
No
the
more
Real World. That
videos.
was the very
It was
first.
stupid. All right, what's the next one?
Okay, let's go. Snow
Ooh,
White.
Snow White.
Ah.
This chick is into group sex. This is basically what it is. She likes short men.
We need to read it. That's not what it says.
Another I saw it.
That's a porn site. You're
them
not okay.
seven
That's
dwarves.
the trip. Okay, look, that is a XXX site. Okay, there is a
What did
fairy
I tell
tale
you about little people?
There's a fairy tale XXX site where all the fairy tales are on there, and they are in cartoons, and they're all.
But what did I tell you
XXX.
about little people? They're little short people, but they got giant hogs, and that's why she liked them seven dwarfs.
I can't speak to that, so I don't know anything about that.
And their personalities with the happy, sneezy, sleepy. Yeah. 7 days of the week, seven dwarves. You do the math.
Was she a nymphomaniac?
I think she was.
Is that how
Look
she
at
was
all
so
the.
young?
She was into bestiality too. Look at all the animals around her.
No,
Baby animals too.
she just smelled like food.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. I'm sure that's the smell that the animals knew about. Another family favorite.
She had deer pee on her.
now
and
that
it
I've
was
ruined it,
smelling her deer
it's
pee.
the story of Snow White. Jealous of Snow White's beauty, an evil queen ordered a huntsman to bring back Snow's heart, which is already rather gruesome in the first place. In the Disney version, Snow White is spared, finds seven dwarves, sings several musical numbers, bites a poisoned apple, falls into a deep sleep, is woken by a kiss from her true love, and they lived happily ever after.
So that is a lot of different bad things.
Right. So the Grimm's
So-
Brothers version fails to present a romanticized, let alone remotely appetizing original. The queen, who is actually Snow White's real mother, not only asks for her heart, but her liver and lungs for that evening's supper.
She wants to eat it.
Nice. You can also forget Disney's beautiful glass coffin tucked away in the woodlands and true love's kiss. In the Grimm version, Snow White dies. The prince and his servants carry the dead body back to enjoy
later. They're going to
so
enjoy
they're
her.
fucking necrophiliacs.
Yes.
It's just so happens that the transit resuscitates her as a bump in the road dislodges the fatal apple bit from her throat. Okay,
So they were going to rape her, and they hit a
they
bump
were
in the
gonna
road.
fuck a dead body.
They were going to do a lot of things to that dead body.
She must have been hot, and I bet
Well, they
he
said
probably
she was
talked to the
fairest
dwarves.
of the land. She probably had nice
And-
breasts and soft,
and the dwarves were
milky,
like, "Dude,
translucent skin.
She totally digs this, and then went into detail about some of the things that she liked. So,
But it doesn't seem like there's
and that,
any
and that gave
dwarves
the
in
prince
that.
a bone, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta have that, dead or not." It's pretty gross. Once again, evildoers are punished. Jealousy inspires Snow White's mother to attend her newly revived daughter's wedding, where she is eventually forced to put on scalding hot iron boots and dance until she drops dead. A rather grim ending indeed. That's fucking awesome.
I like
that. Would
that.
be a great punishment.
Ooh,
You're gonna put these hot iron fucking boots on,
and, it
and you're
burns
gonna
into your
dance until you die,
Burns into your bones.
dude.
Yeah.
Maleficent takes on a whole new meaning.
Ooh. Yeah. Yep.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. This is a. Yeah.
I
go ahead.
think that Little Red Riding Hood is actually an allegory for losing your virginity.
Yeah, it's sexual. It's totally sexual.
I honestly believe a lot of these fairy tales had a lot to do with sexuality,
Yeah.
repression, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
Look-
it was the time that
Yeah.
they were.
Little Red Riding Hood is one of the few folk tales that Disney didn't adapt. Possibly because it's difficult to disguise the fact that whatever the outcome, the story only makes sense if someone is eaten. Well, isn't that life? In
So,
the
yeah,
version,
it's dog eat dog.
right. In the version most recognized today, Red Riding Hood goes to visit her granny and is stalked by a wolf along the way. When she arrives, the wolf is decked out in her granny's clothing, having devoured her earlier. The wolf then proceeds to eat Red Riding Hood as well, but is soon cut open by a brave lumberjack, thus saving Red Riding Hood's life. That version is already rather violent, and for once, the Brothers Grimm version isn't the most macabre. Charles Perrault, the 17th century author of folklore like The Little Mermaid, has the attractive young girl tricked into her granny's bed by the wolf. She removes all of her clothing and is eaten without any courageous huntsman to save her.
What?
In other
So
versions,
she.
What?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So she gets naked.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's all
wolf?
about sex.
So first of all, your granny's not going to say get
Granny's a
naked and
MILF.
get in the bed.
Granny's a MILF.
No, but your
a
granny's not going
lesbo.
to say,
She's a
"Hey,
coug.
come on into the bed to get naked."
Granny's a
and get in the
coug.
bed.
She wants some of that young meat.
Oh my god!
And then
I'm
she
saying
gets
like
it.
in for real life.
She gets it, and the wolf's like, I want some of that too. I want
And the
some of
wolf's
that.
not going to swallow her whole. That's
I
impossible.
want some of that MILF granny action. So he gets Granny going, and then he's like, "Ooh, Red Riding Hood looks good
Wolves
too."
go for the abdomen. They're gonna they're gonna disembowel you. It's not the wolf's not gonna eat you whole. The wolf's gonna
I don't think it
disembowel
was
you.
really a wolf.
What do you think it was?
Maybe it was Granny's lover,
Devil Bobby.
Devil Bobby, Bobby
devil.
Boucher. In other versions, she unwittingly cannibalizes her grandmother and drinks a wine glass of her blood that the wolf left out. By comparison, the Grimm version, where the wolf is filled with heavy stones, skinned and killed by a huntsman, appears incredibly family-friendly.
What?
Now, is that the same huntsman that was going after Snow White? That's what we need to know.
Ooh, there's a lot of huntsmen.
Right?
So, in my opinion, the Little Red Riding Hood is like you're saying. It's either becoming a woman, starting your period, which is the significance of the red cloak that
But
she
also
wears.
bleeding
But
after
also
being
bleeding after,
penetrated.
right, when you have,
For your first time.
right, when your hymen is popped, you do bleed for your first time having sex. So that could be the a man that has talked her into bed and
Do you know what
she
I
lost
love?
her
I
virginity.
love the fact that no matter how...
But did she drink her own hymen blood?
I don't know. But no matter how much I try to get, like, goofy and nasty, you always make it sound scientific. Always. Always. I'm like, she bleeds because she got poked. Well, you see, the hymen was split open by the penetration, which causes a little blood to leak out from the uterus. Dude, I would love to have, like, one PSA of Dawn just giving, like, sex ed. And then have one of me and see which one is worse. Oh my god.
breathe.
It's fucking awesome.
I'm crying. It's so true. That's the only reason I'm
Oh,
having so
Jesus
hard.
Christ. It's funny because, like, when we're doing patients, I'll be like, so you're going to feel the contrast go in, and when you do, it's going to feel like you're getting real hot like a hot flash, and you might feel like you're peeing yourself, but you're really not going to pee. And then Dawn comes in, and she's like, you may get the urge for urination. And I'm like, all right. Fucking love you, Dawn.
I'm glad somebody does.
Jesus.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
What's next? Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, yeah.
Another tale that Disney didn't manage to get his hands on is Hansel and Gretel. This is one of my favorite ones, by the way.
Yeah, this is
I love
wicked.
Hansel and Gretel.
It's wicked.
In the well-known Grimm version, the hapless Hansel and Gretel are abandoned by their parents in the forest, where they stumble across the gingerbread cottage of a cannibalistic witch. This ravenous wretch attempts to eat them, but the children push her in the oven and escape. The original French fairy tale from which the brothers took their inspiration is even more morbid. The Lost Children is an early piece of folklore where the children aren't lucky enough to stumble across the gingerbread house at all. Instead, they come across a woman who tells them to hide because her husband, the devil, will eat them otherwise.
Ooh.
The devil smells the Christian children, and locks them in a barn where he tries to fatten them up. When they're ready to be consumed, the devil reveals a sawhorse and asks the boy to get on so he can bleed him. They pretend to misunderstand, and when the devil's wife begins to demonstrate, they tie her to the sawhorse and slit her throat before making off with all of the devil's gold.
Oh, Lord.
I like that story.
That's
pretty cool.
wicked.
Fuck yeah, man.
Wow.
They fucking...
So in the Disney version, it's a house made of candy,
yeah.
and they go inside, and she's trying to fatten them up with the candy. I think she's just trying to make them sweet, so when she
See,
eats them.
this one right here that I just read about, that's all, you can tell that's just all been rewritten by Christians for morality. It's a morality story for Christians
What do you mean?
about, I think
the
just by
devil?
reading it, it's like how to resist temptation of the devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how to not to succumb to his wiles and all that other shit. How you can trick the devil with God to get the gold. Shit like
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
The Brothers Grimm Rapunzel. I didn't know they wrote that one. Back to the doings of Disney, Mickey Mouse execs recently re-envisioned Rapunzel as Tangled, which tells the story of a lost princess trapped in a tower by a miserable witch. Endowed with quite an impressive mane, she was well endowed. Rapunzel lets down her hair for the prince to save her, and the evil witch is defeated. Unlike the music and chameleon-filled Disney version, in the Brothers Grimm story, Rapunzel's loose locks get her into quite a bit of trouble. After a certain number of royal encounters with the prince, Rapunzel carries the crown in her womb.
Mm-hmm.
She's putting shit up in her hoo-ha? What the hell's wrong with her?
No.
So, if that's the case, then it's not the hair on her head.
Oh, man.
When the witch finds out about Rapunzel's pregnancy, she angrily cuts off all of Rapunzel's hair and casts her out into the wilderness. There, Rapunzel gives birth and lives as a beggar with her newborn child. In the meantime, the crafty witch lures the lecherous prince up the tower with Rapunzel's chopped locks. When he reaches the top, the witch pushes him from the window, and where his eyes lock not with Rapunzel's, but thorns. However, the Grimms manage to forge a happy ending, reuniting the lovers and restoring his sight. So,
So he fell into the thorns
he
and
fell
poked
into
his
the
eye
thorns
out?
and went blind, and
Oh.
she, like, gave him some loving, gave him a happy ending, and he could see again.
It made his eyeballs grow back. It was so good.
Fuck, that's some good pussy.
That's so good.
That's some good vagina.
So stupid.
Sleeping Beauty. Yet another Disney classic. Sleeping Beauty is the tale of a princess who pricks her finger on a spinning wheel and sleeps for 100 years before a prince wakes her with a kiss. She must have been stinky. for
That's what
100
I'm
years.
saying. You're not going to look exactly the same.
Right.
You're going to be rotten.
In Charles Perrault's version, though, Sleeping Beauty bears the prince 2 children, and the jealous stepmother orders a cook to prepare them for dinner.
Oh.
Now, in the Disney version, didn't the stepmother poison the needle?
Yeah, that's how she slept.
Right.
It,
Because this doesn't say that. It just says
no,
that she pricked her finger
They
on the
locked
spinning
away
wheel.
all the spinning wheels.
Yeah.
And then on her 16th birthday, she found one in like some obscure barn, and then she pricked her finger on
Yeah.
it, and then she fell into a coma.
So
Yeah, but every 100 years, your
probably had a
body's
head
gonna
bleed.
you're not gonna stay the same. Your body's gonna decay. You're gonna grow to be 100 years old.
Sleeping Beauty bears the prince 2 children. Okay, then orders a cook to prepare them for dinner. The cook tricks her, and when the covetous stepmother realizes that she chowed down on lamb and goat instead of children, she creates a pit in the garden filled with vipers into which she might throw them. As with any French fairy tale, evil is vanquished when the stepmother is discovered and, fearful of going out by someone else's accord, throws herself into the pit instead.
Oh, good karma.
While the Brothers Grimm stay true to Perrault's tale for the most part, Sleeping Beauty's origin lies in something altogether more morally ambiguous. In 1634, the tale of Sun, Moon, and Talia tells of a woman named Talia who falls unconscious after pricking her finger on a piece of flax. Thinking she's dead, her father lays her to rest. While unconscious, Talia is raped by the king. When she awakens, Talia discovers that she's given birth to 2 children. The king's wife still tries to eat the babies, but in the original, he burns his wife alive so he can marry Talia. How romantic. So, dude, how did she give birth while she was fucking in a coma?
Your body still knows what to do. Your brain's the one that's asleep. Your body, if you rape somebody, here we go with scientific. You ask me a fucking question, and here I go. You draw me into this shit.
I know, that's why I like
Oh
doing
my
it.
god. So your body's gonna grow a baby. You don't have to do anything, and then you just have the baby. Why do I fall into the trap? Why do I fall into the trap, people?
Beauty and the Beast. When you think of this story, you think of the animated film songs like Be Our Guest and the live action version with the lovely Emma Watson. You don't think of something dark and scary, but that's what a version of the original story is like. In the original tale, the Beast is going to keep Beauty's dad around as his captive, and so Beauty figures she will be his captive instead. She wants to save her dad, so that's her main motivation. That's a good girl. She has 3 sisters, and they are devastated by this news and say they might as well kill the Beast instead. but someone in the town tells them they will end up dead instead, so they might as well forget that idea. Yep, talk about dark and very different. The Beast is really, really into beauty, but she can't possibly develop romantic feelings for him. She's too scared. Eventually she does, but it doesn't feel as fun and magical as the movie version.
That's called something where you're with your captors and then you end up falling.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome, yeah. So Beauty and the Beast.
He probably had a
so
giant hog. Henny whipped it out. He's like,
he was
look,
a beast.
you fall in love with me and you get all of this.
He probably walked around naked because he was a beast.
And she's
So
like,
he
Ma,
just
you
had-
have a large penis?
He just had a tunic on, and you could see the penis below the tunic.
Yeah, you have a mighty large penis, sir.
And she got diaphoretic when she saw it.
Here's another one of my... Diaphoretic means sweaty, by the way, people. Here's one of my other favorites, Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll, I think, was taking... Well, LSD wasn't invented back then, but he was taking some serious fucking drugs, dude.
That's my favorite.
This story is based on the Lewis Carroll book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which was published in 1865. You've probably heard that this story is basically about drugs, and that definitely makes some sense considering that the Disney movie is all about talking flowers, including those bread and butter flowers, which are the best, a magical tea party, and an adorable rabbit with a stopwatch. So when you think about it, the original tale is generally super dark, since drugs are a pretty dark thing. Whether the story is really about drugs is still pretty much a big debate. One example is that Alice can both shrink and grow depending on what she eats. That definitely sounds like the word of some drugs. Whether or not you agree with this, you have to admit that the Disney movie is one of the most fun, colorful films ever.
Yeah. I like Alice in Wonderland.
I like, my favorite character is the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's like trippy as shit, man.
I like the caterpillar.
The hookah smoking caterpillar.
Ah.
Talama hookah smoking caterpillar. I was giving you the call. You call Alice. That's from Jefferson Starship. Jefferson Airplane.
I'll
One
just
of my
let
favorite
you
songs, The White Rabbit.
finish.
A little fun fact about me. The very first time I ever did karaoke, that was the song that I sang.
Really?
Yep. And everybody was blown away. They liked it a lot. They were
Wow.
like, wow, that was really good, dude. Because
Cool.
I sounded just like her. That was when I could, like, actually hit high notes. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you can. This weekend you were fucking hitting high notes.
Yeah, but I can't constantly do it like I used to be able to.
Okay.
Pinocchio. Dude, they got a picture of Pinocchio.
That's gross. He's got
with
blood
a big
on the
wooden
end of his...
fucking nose and blood on it.
It's a shard. Sharpened like a toothpick.
Let me ask you this, though. Is that hymen blood?
I don't know. Let's proceed. It may be hymen blood.
So by now, you've probably figured out that
check
the
a DNA
Brothers Grimm
sample.
had some pretty gruesome and disturbing fairy tales, and that's an understatement. Learning this can really throw you for a loop since it makes you realize how little you really know about fairy tales. The Disney movie Pinocchio is from 1940, and you probably watched it at least once as a kid. You thought it was pretty fun and probably never guessed that it had a super dark meaning behind it. But like the other fairy tales here, it totally does. The seemingly innocent little Pinocchio actually murders a cricket.
Jiminy!
Yes, a cricket.
No!
Another ending had Pinocchio dying by public hanging on a tree. Isn't that kind of irony? You're made of
he's
wood,
and you're hung on
and
a
you're
tree.
hanging from wood
On a tree.
on a tree. Yeah, what a super fun, magical, and romantic fairy tale. Not,
Irony instead of wrinkly.
right? So what do you think? Are you going to have a series of nightmares every night for the rest of your life now about a creepy little doll? Probably. Huh. Okay.
Ew. Why does he... It didn't say why he has blood on his nose.
I don't know either. That's fucking weird.
So we know Pinocchio, you tell lies, your nose grows.
Let me see if...
There's a Little Mermaid. Snow White. Peter Pan.
We'll get to that one. I'm trying to see if they got another one about Pinocchio on here because I want to know why his nose is full of blood too. That's another one of my favorites, Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to that one in a second.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelstiltskin. Where was I? Oh, here we go. We just did Pinocchio, right?
Yes.
Jack
We're
and
in
the Beanstalk. Oh, yeah. In the original version, which is a fairy tale from England, Jack basically steals stuff from the giant when he climbs the beanstalk a few times. He takes a harp and a goose lays golden eggs. People started wondering if this was a problem in a moral and ethical sense because Jack, who was only a kid in the story, was clearly stealing from someone else. When you think about it, the original version was pretty dark, since the whole reason that Jack was attracted by the beanstalk and decided to go up there and see what was going on was because his mom refused to feed him. What? A mother starving her own child? That's super dark and pretty sad. It's hard to even think about that. But that's the thing about fairy tales. They often feature children who are suffering and being treated badly by their very own parents. It's just a thing, unfortunately. Well, yeah, she's the one that threw the fucking beans out the window because she sent him to the store, and the motherfucking kid spent all the money on some beans. And that's it.
Yeah.
She was like, bitch, where's the milk and the toilet paper? And he's
gone,
like, but
'cause
Mom,
it's a
I got these
pandemic.
magic beans. These ain't fucking magic beans, you dumb little shit. Now go to your room. You're not getting any food. And rub my corns.
It sounds like the one that lived in the shoe.
That's the little old lady who used
Yeah.
to beat her kids.
Yeah. And they act like they died. Remember on the last one? She starved them too.
Yep. Thumbelina. I remember that one. This fairy
know if
tale
I
was
remember
written
this
by Hans Christian Andersen, one of my all-time favorite fairy tale writers, by the way.
Hans Christian Andersen.
He wrote Oliver Twist.
More, please.
And what was the other one? Fucking, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Tale of Two Cities.
Okay.
I think that's Hans Christian Andersen.
I don't
Anyway,
Not sure.
this one was written in 1835. Thumbelina is a really, really small girl who's essentially born out of a flower.
Ooh.
She is stolen so she can marry someone, which is super creepy when you think about it. And when she manages to get away, she has to live outside on the water. It's really sad because she's freezing most of the time, and when the weather is really horrible, she has nowhere else to go. She's eventually able to find a better living situation, but that doesn't stop how miserable this original fairy tale really is. You might have adored this story as a kid because you thought that the idea of a tiny little girl was pretty cute. You might have even pretended that you were her. She sounds like a fairy, and that's a pretty romantic thing. But unfortunately, this tale is really about a homeless girl who's abandoned, and that's not much fun. But she wouldn't have been abandoned if she met Tom Thumb.
Truth.
Okay? They would have made a perfect couple. I think I should have been a matchmaker in 1835, and I would have been like, look, Thumby, I got a buddy. You're going to love him. He's a fucking nice guy. He's got a good job. He's about your size. So he was probably hung. He was probably hung.
You think so?
Yeah, Tom
So
Thumb.
why would you marry a tiny person? How is
Because
that
people
gonna?
are
How are
weird.
you gonna consummate
People
the
are fucking
marriage?
creepy.
She's gonna climb down your
Up in his
pee
butthole.
hole.
Maybe. No,
She's
Dawn,
tiny enough.
his urethra.
It's your urethra. It's just going to climb down
She's-
into the urethra.
She's going to be inserted into the urethral canal.
Jerk.
The Frog Prince. This fairy tale has two different titles. Sometimes it's a prince, sometimes it's a king. There was a 2009 movie called The Princess and the Frog, but the meaning behind it is much darker than you might think. Like many of the fairy tales on this list, there are a few versions floating around, but the darkest thing is that the princess throws a frog against a wall.
Oh,
Why? So he can transform back into a super hot guy that she can fall in love with and marry, of course. Because that's the one thing that never changes, whether a fairy tale is super dark or turned into a charming and colorful animated film. Princesses need princes, and they have to get married and live happily ever after. Okay, so maybe you can still use the term fairy tale to describe your wedding day, since that would be an accurate explanation. So my question is, okay, he's a frog. She throws him against the wall. She breaks every fucking bone in his body.
Yeah.
He's paralyzed from the waist down.
Now she has to take
just
care of
ruined
him.
her fucking sex life for the rest of her life.
I mean, if he has a spinal cord injury, he has priapism, so she's not ruined her sex life. She's actually advanced her sex life because the priapism is going to stay. That's how you know that you have a spinal
You
cord
don't always
injury.
get a boner when you go paralyzed.
That's one of the signs when someone comes in. If they have a priapism, you know they have a fractured spinal cord.
But what about guys
They're
that are like
throwing a tent.
paraplegics and their wiener doesn't work anymore because their legs are like, they look like fucking spaghetti noodles. They don't have big hogs like.
You don't know that.
Oh, I know.
Is there a channel for that? Like, you know, all
Probably.
these hidden dark
There
web
probably
channels.
is. But I just think that's a really dumb move to throw the frog against the wall.
Yeah, but even kissing a frog, like, I never liked the story because why would you? I mean, I understand.
It's a dumb story.
Like, some of the
But
frogs are
maybe-
hallucinogenic, so you lick it and then you think
Well,
they're a princess. or
I'm
a
thinking
prince.
that frog is probably the originator of HPV.
Oh,
She probably got warts. She probably wasn't worth it anyway.
hopping.
And he was like,
HPV
bitch, I
is-
just gave you HPV. And so she got pissed off and threw him against the wall.
So it's hopping pussy virus.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. The Princess and the Pea. I remember this one too.
I have that at night. I feel like something's in my back.
Not PEE. PEA.
Yeah.
The little tiny vegetable, in case you people think that she's peeing the bed.
Ew.
Probably remember this fairy tale and thought it was kind of cool and magical. It might have haunted your dreams for a bit too, since you wondered if you were sleeping on a pea yourself and whether or not you could feel it. What can you say? You had a pretty massive imagination as a kid. The original version is pretty dark. It was by Hans Christian Andersen, and it features the princess having a horrible bout of insomnia thanks to the pea. She says, I lay on something so hard, that's what she said, that I'm black and blue all over. That's what she said. It was simply terrible. Ouch. That's essentially a story of physical abuse, right? If this dark detail had been included in the version that you read during your childhood, you might have felt differently about this whole story. You might not have even read it in the first place, since your mom would have known it wasn't all that appropriate. I don't see anywhere in there where it talks about physical abuse.
It just says she wakes up black and blue,
Well,
but the pee at the under the bed is not going to make you black and blue.
it did.
But
her.
if she is all bruised up, you do feel everything.
Because it
Same way.
keeps stacking up fucking mattresses under her, and she still
She's
feels
trying
it.
to not feel the pee. Just take the pee out.
That's what she said. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I mean, this stuff writes itself, Don. Okay?
You're true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just writes itself.
Yep.
Don, you walk right into it.
I
and
do.
I love it.
The door's open and looks
I just invite you in.
looks inviting.
And you just walk.
I do, and I give you what you need.
That's right. And that's why it works
Don't
out so well.
Say it.
Chances are you read this tale, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, growing up and absolutely loved it. You thought that the Three Bears sounded adorable, and you loved that they had three versions of everything in the house, from furniture to kitchen utensils and silverware. The truth is that the original fairy tale has a super dark meaning. In fact, people say that there are a few versions of it rolling around, but there are two main versions that are extremely dark. In one, Goldilocks is much, much older, and when the bears return home, she escapes through a window and severely hurts her neck. Ouch. In the other, the bears decide that in order to punish her for breaking into their house and snooping, they need to make her dinner. Now, read that properly. They need to make her dinner.
So
not
they're going to cook
her
her.
make dinner.
Yeah.
Because that's the
Make
way I'm
her
looking
dinner.
at it.
Yeah, they're gonna make her dinner, 'cause
If you
she's
go into a
gonna-
bear's fucking house,
They're
that
gonna
fucker's
eat
going to
you.
make you dinner.
You are going to be dinner, yes.
They make a meal out of her,
They're not
but
making
in a
a
super
dinner for
gruesome
her.
way.
They're making a dinner from her.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what the next sentence says. They make a meal out of her, but in a super gruesome way. Well, it's a fucking bear. What do you think they're gonna
Don't
like?
go into a bear house.
let's get the silverware out, and let's just lightly cut the skin open, and we'll just get the meat from the inside, and those little like fucking oyster forks. They're eating her with oyster forks.
No.
That's a fucking bear. They got fucking claws the size of daggers. They
Yep.
could rip your balls off with their pinky. Fucking people.
Scoop it like an oyster, like you were just saying.
The Little
The
Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
In 1837, Hans Christian Andersen published a story called The Little Mermaid. I didn't know he was the first one to write it.
I didn't either, man.
And it's so different from the Disney movie. It's so different, in fact, that this is the most infamous example of how dark and disturbing the original versions of fairy tales are. In this version, the mermaid still loses the ability to talk and sing, but because a witch literally removes her tongue from her mouth.
Holy fuck.
That same evil witch also sets things up so if the prince decides to be with someone else, the mermaid will die and turn into foam on the ocean.
Oh.
This does end up happening, and the only way to remain alive is to kill the prince instead. But of course she can't do that because, true love and all that. There's a moral at the end of the story that kids need to make sure that they are good and behave themselves. So yeah, that's a pretty dark moral when you think about it. What if you're not a good kid? You're going to end up like the mermaid. Okay, you're totally going to have some nightmares now. No, you're not.
I didn't know they took her tongue out.
I didn't either. That's fucking awesome. See, those are the kind of stories I would like to read. I like scary shit like that. Peter Pan. What? Peter Pan debuted as an infant in The Little White Bird, a novel written by J.M. Barrie for adults in 1902. Readers loved Pan, and his popularity led Barrie to write the 1904 play Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up. The play, starring the likes of Captain Cook and Tinker Bell, was later adapted into the well-known book. We know Peter doesn't want to grow up, but what Disney doesn't mention is the length to which he's willing to go to fight it. In Barrie's works, Pan is more villainous than mischievous. This I can't say that word. Excerpt is particularly chilling. The boys on the island vary, of course in numbers, according as they get killed and so on. And when they seem to be growing up, which is against the rules, Peter thins them out. But at this time, there were 6 of them, counting the twins as 2.
So, as they grow up, Peter Pan kills them?
Yeah.
In the Grimm
when they start getting older, Peter fucking wipes them out. Peter Pan is a serial killer. Wow. If it's not explicit enough for our readers, let us summarize. Peter kills the lost boys to keep them from aging.
Oh, that's so sad.
While we like to think of Pan as obsessed with youthfulness, in fact he's obsessed with death. It's believed this comes from Barrie's own childhood experience of losing his brother. Barrie's work includes grisly scenes, including Wendy nearly dying after being shot with an arrow, Peter being left to drown, and Hook being eaten by a crocodile. To die would be an awfully big adventure, says Peter Pan in one of the novel's most famous lines. That's fucking creepy. Wow. If when you actually disseminate stuff and you look at it and you go, that's fucking creepy, man. Peter Pan's a fucking serial killer.
Oh, wow. He is a serial killer. I didn't know that.
He's a punk ass bitch.
I didn't know he killed the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Man.
Get too old, you get the fucking axe.
Dude. That's crazy.
That's just the way it works.
That's sad.
That's the way it works around here, lady.
You get the axe. There it is.
The mouse, the bird, and the sausage. I already like this one. I already like this one. It's a little tale about a mouse, bird, and sausage who all live together. It sounds like the fucking screenplay for Three's Company. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. To make their household a cohesive unit, they each have a specific role within the home. The bird collects wood for the fire. I bet he does. The mouse is in charge of collecting water, lighting the fire, and setting the table. And the sausage keeps everyone well fed. This fucking paragraph was written for me.
You wrote it. I'm crying.
Okay, baby. You go get the food. You get the water. And I'm going to feed you. All of you. One day, the bird decides they should change roles. Of course they do. Since he does all the hard work, and it quickly backfires. The sausage goes out to collect wood, but becomes a dog's snack. Oh my God, this gets better. While the mouse tries to cook like the sausage by throwing her body in the pot to season everything and dies. And the bird? He falls into the well when collecting water and drowns. Oh. Moral of the story, they were great in their original roles and should have been happy with that.
Is that what that means? Like you should be a wife and you should be happy that you're...
know your place.
That is exactly I knew you were fixing to say that.
That's exactly what
Woman should be in the kitchen
know
at home.
Know your place.
Know your place, bitches.
I'm going to feed your sausage. Cat and mouse in
Throw yourself in that bowl in hot water.
That's right. Know your place. Dude, look at this picture. Look at this sausage. He
I
looks
know.
like a little
what I said,
Chinese
the picture
man.
is what's disturbing.
He looks like a Chinese man, like a worm.
He does.
I didn't know a fucking sausage could live.
They throw themselves in the pot to season everything.
That was the mouse.
No, that's how the sausage fed
The
them.
sausage, yeah,
That was his job. He jumped in the pot. I'll feed you
he put it
my
in.
bath. You
He
got to
put
drink
it
my
in.
bath water.
I'm gonna spice you up, baby. I'm gonna spice you up.
Poor bird and mouse, man.
Drink my soup.
They weren't happy with what they were getting.
Drink my soup. He wasn't a very big sausage.
Yeah, it's a roll of
Right.
nickels.
He was more like a roll of dimes.
Drop the dime on you.
Cat and mouse in
Baby.
partnership. This little story doesn't have a moral per se, but offers a bleak view of the world. A cat and mouse decide to live together and buy a pot of fat to get them through the winter. However, they decide to keep the pot in a safe place, under an altar at a church, and only use it if necessary. Cats being cats, the cat makes up a story and says he's becoming a godmother in order to secretly visit the church. So she asks the mouse to stay and watch their place. The cat comes home and eventually becomes a godmother 2 more times. Each time, the mouse asks the name of the godchildren, and the cat's responses are top off, half done, and all gone. Of course, referring to the fat. The mouse doesn't catch on until they go to the church and saw the empty pot. The cat turns and eats the mouse. The end.
Dude. So cats are like scorpions. They just have to do what they do.
Cats are assholes.
I like
flat
my-
out,
I like
cats
my
are
cats.
assholes.
I love my cats.
They knock shit off the shelf for no fucking reason. They give you that look, and then they go, meow, meow. The fuck do you want? And then they suck the breath out of babies while they sleep.
You're crazy.
They're fucking demon spawn.
You're crazy. That's why I like them, I guess.
Demons stick together.
We have to.
Hungry souls.
That's why you and I are friends.
My fucking soul belly ain't gonna feed itself.
Exactly.
The Juniper Tree is a disturbing account of a young boy who's murdered by his stepmother. Clearly, stepmothers are often evil in these stories. Yeah. Knowing that the son will inherit everything upon his father's death, the stepmother decapitates the young boy when he reaches into a box for an apple.
What?
Not, what the fuck is wrong with these
Head
people
is
back
gone.
in those days?
Don't
Not
eat my
wanting
shit.
anyone to know what happened. See, this person has horrible grammar. What happened? The stepmother devises a plan to make her daughter believe she did it. And then the stepmother cooks the poor boy and feeds him to his father.
Ugh.
The young girl then buries the bones underneath the juniper tree where the little boy's mother is also buried. The boy turns into a bird and sings his story to various people who give him a gold chain, red shoes, and a millstone. The bird gives the father the chain, the little girl the shoes, and the stepmother, well, the bird drops the millstone on her head.
I love that story.
The little boy is, once again, alive, and he, along with his father and sister, enter the house and have dinner. And the dinner is the stepmother.
Probably.
Probably.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Hans the Hedgehog. Is this like Sonic's uncle?
Oh, maybe. That's the original Sonic.
A man and his wife are so desperate. Hedgehogs are cute.
I love hedgehogs. I had one. Her name was Hufflepuff.
They're
before
pretty
the
cute.
Hufflepuff house.
That's
Before Harry
awesome.
Potter. Because she made that noise like... she huffed and puffed.
I like hedgehogs.
Me too.
Okay, a man and his wife are so desperate for a child that they even wish for a hedgehog. Well, their wish comes true when the wife gives birth to a half hedgehog, half baby
Oh.
boy. That's fucking creepy.
What? You had
Not
sex
what they
with a
were
hedgehog?
expecting, right? Did she go out and get some hedge loving?
She got some hedgehog.
She got some hedgehog.
She was in a bush.
Yeah.
Different kind of bush.
Not wanting to have anything to do with him, the parents pile some straw behind a stove and leave him there. That's fucking cruel.
What?
Hans knows he's not wanted, so he asks his father for some bagpipes and the cockshod. I fucking love that word.
Can I have your
Dad,
cock
can I
shot?
have the cockshod?
Can I have your cock shot?
Let me go ask the sausage. And tells him if he can have these 2 things, he will leave and never return. While living in a tree and playing his bagpipes, he helps 2 kings find their way back home, but only if they promise him their daughters. The first king is sneaky and says yes, but really means no, while the other agrees. Hans injures the first king's daughter and marries the second king's daughter. Come wedding night, Hans sheds his hedgehog skin to become a very handsome man. He also forgives his father. But you notice he didn't forgive his mother. His mother, the whore, that went out and got her some hedgehog, and then came back and tried to explain to her husband, I don't know why this baby looks like half a hedgehog.
I just fell asleep in the
Right.
bush.
I just went into the meadow right after I came back from the store. And the next thing you know, yeah, we've heard this story before. Mary.
Mary. That's what I said. Mary.
All right.
Virginous Mary.
Right? The 3 snake leaves.
Oh.
A young princess will only marry if her intended agrees to one thing. If she dies first, he will be buried alive with her.
What?
A young man from a poor family leaves his home so that he can earn his keep and not be a burden to his father. He meets the princess and falls madly in love with her, agreeing to her demand. They are married, but after a while she becomes ill and dies. He follows through on his word and is placed in the vault with her coffin. While in there, a snake appears, the devil, and he hacks it into 3 pieces. Another snake appears and heals the dead snake with 3 leaves, and they both leave. The husband then places the leaves on his wife, and she comes back from the dead. However, she no longer loves him and throws him overboard, with the help of her lover while on a sea voyage.
Oh, that's the cruise YouTube
His
cruise
servant
videos.
rescues him, and they tell the king everything. The princess and her lover are sent out to sea on a sinking ship.
The end.
That's
some twists and turns.
yeah. That's
wild.
that's a vindictive bitch is what that is.
Dude.
That's a hoe. A hoe. The ungrateful son.
Didn't
is
say
a
what the leaves
succinct-
are to heal them.
It just
How's
came
that
from
feel?
some. I don't know. Well, you see, they're of Marinus agalopithus methamphetamines. The Ungrateful Son is a succinct story that is about a paragraph long. A greedy son who is about to sit down to a dinner of roasted chicken sees his elder father coming to the door. Not wanting to share his meal, he hides the chicken. Once his father leaves, the son goes to retrieve his meal. Unfortunately for him, the chicken has become a frog and latches onto his face, never letting go. Dude, this is alien.
What?
This is alien.
He was going to eat it.
Dude, the chicken was a face hugger.
Yeah.
And so the story goes on later that he's on a ship sometime in the future and a baby rips out of his stomach.
Where'd he
because
get
an
his
alien
fucking chicken
xenomorph.
is what I want to know.
Dude, he got it from that fucking
So-
planet where them fucking face huggers are in those egg sacks.
It turns into a frog and latches onto his face because he couldn't
Because
share
that
his
thing
meal?
looks kind of like a frog that when it latches on the
Yeah.
guy's face. Yeah,
That's wild.
fucking
What?
face huggers, dude.
The ungrateful
So
son.
I'm thinking this is like kind of what we talked about earlier about ancient aliens.
What?
They knew about face huggers back then.
They did. They were talking. They were
Fucking
obviously
crazy.
making stories about it. Oh, there you go.
Rumpelstiltskin. Love Rumpelstiltskin. Many people are familiar with the story of Rumpelstiltskin, as it has been a popular children's story for generations. However, are you familiar with the gruesome ending? A miller tells the king that his daughter can spin straw into gold, which of course is a complete lie. The king, who is intrigued, wants to see this girl, and subsequently locks her in a room and threatens her life if she doesn't turn the straw into gold. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, a little creature-like man helps her out, once for her necklace, twice for her ring, and thrice for her firstborn. She marries the king, and when their firstborn arrives, so does the little man. He tells her that if she can figure out his name within 3 days, she can keep her baby. On day 3, someone overhears him speaking his name and tells the queen, Rumpelstiltskin. He becomes so enraged that he tears himself in 2.
What?
The fuck is wrong
He
with
tore.
you, dude?
How do you tear yourself in two?
Apparently, he can do
You
it.
have anger issues, Mr.
Apparently,
Rumpelstiltskin.
Mr. Stiltskin, you're a douchebag.
You're a douche canoe, a
You
douche
are.
frigate.
That's right. Ride my douche canoe. The Strange Feast. The title, The Strange Feast, describes the story well, as it is an odd little tale that may leave you scratching your head. More sausages. There are two sausages, one blood and one liver, who are friends. The blood sausage invites the liver sausage over for dinner, but when the liver sausage arrives, she gets an uneasy feeling when she sees some disturbing sights: a broom and shovel fighting, and a monkey with an injury. This
You're a fucking
what the
sausage,
fuck
so
is
you're
going
worried
on
about
in this story,
a broom and a shovel fighting and a monkey.
dude? What's going on in
What?
this story? I'm
It
lost.
says a strange feast, so
She hears a voice telling to leave quickly, and so she goes. When she turns around, she sees the blood sausage with a sharp knife yelling, "If I had caught you, I would have had you." What the fuck? The drugs they were taking back then.
what?
Wow.
The blood sausage invites the liver sausage over for dinner.
Isn't it kind of ironic, though, that it's the blood sausage that's doing all the murdering?
Because it's blood?
Because it's blood sausage. He likes blood. He's got to fill his sausage. His inner sac of blood is depleting.
So he needs liver.
So he needs the liver, and that's why the monkey's got an injury, because he's trying to suck that monkey blood.
He needs a solid liver to fill his sack.
That's right. He needs liver in his sack. Mother Holly. While many of the Brothers Grimm stories were strange, oftentimes very gruesome and without a lesson, Mother Holly was different, as it has a true moral behind it. There was a woman who had 2 daughters, one beautiful and hardworking, and the other ugly and spoiled. One day, the beautiful girl is spinning by the well and injures her finger, causing her to drop the shuttle in the well. Her mother tells her how to get it back, so she jumps in the well. She ends up in a beautiful meadow where she helps a loaf of bread, an apple tree, and Mother Holly, who needed her help around the house. While her life is better there, she wants to go home, so Mother Holly rewards her by covering her in gold. When she returns home, her mother wants the same for the lazy daughter. However, being lazy, when her other daughter returns, she's covered in pitch, which never comes off. Remember, if you work hard, good things will happen. Dude, I don't understand, where the fuck these people start animating food.
It's a anthropomorphized. They anthropomorphize.
She helps a loaf of bread, an apple tree,
Yeah.
and Mother Holly.
Yeah. They're in a well, dude. She throws her in the fucking well.
Dude, she was dead.
She died and
She was
she was
dead.
in a coma.
Yeah.
And so she's having all these
She's having all
magical.
these fucking lucid dreams.
So what's the gold? What is she covered in?
The goal is, it's time to go.
Aww.
Hey, thanks everybody for listening.
Dead
to
Time
the
Radio.
Dead Time Radio Show.
At gmail.com.
That's right. Send us emails. Send us stories. Send us feedback. Send us anything you want. And we'll see you next time. Oh, we love ya.
Bye. Love you.